You're listening to CFRN, the Christian Financial Radio Network.
Good afternoon, traders, and welcome back to the CFRN E-Mini Futures Cast. This is the daily broadcast of Indeterminate Length, where we discuss all things E-Mini, along with some really big ideas on the finer points of trading gold, bonds, crude, sugar, the euro. Joining us today, Mr. Michael Borg. From our trading desk in Chicago, Mr. Burton Schlichter. Now, to get things started, let's go to our host and founder in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Here's Dwayne.
Good afternoon. Welcome back. Today is Monday, first day of June 2026. Thanks for joining us. Whoever you are, wherever you are, we're just glad to have you right here, right now. We do 2 live broadcasts every trading day. The first broadcast is our live training room. That's reserved for members only and those taking their 1-week free trial. This broadcast, on the other hand, is open to the public. Everybody, everywhere on planet Earth with an internet-connected device. There's 2 different ways to join this afternoon broadcast live. The best way, you only have to do it once. Go here to mytradingiq.com. Scroll down the page to where it says Noon Broadcast. Click the link, fill out the 30-second registration form, and you're done. What happens going forward is every trading day you get an email about an hour before this broadcast starts. In the email, there's a link. So at 12 noon Eastern, all you have to do is click the link in the email. It automatically logs you into our platform. The benefit there is you immediately have access to the question box, so you can ask questions and participate in the discussion. Of course, there will be days you're out of the office, away from your desktop, but you still want to join live. And some days you'll be busy, so you can't join live, but you want to get caught up later. You can do both of those via our YouTube channel, which is easy to remember. youtube.com/CFRN. That's the Christian Financial Radio Network since 2005. Not only do we broadcast live every trading day on our YouTube channel, but we also archive each and every daily broadcast. Currently, there are over 3,000 daily episodes archived for your educational and viewing pleasure. And if you're new to our neck of the woods, it's a great way to get to know who we really are. Thanks to the power of YouTube, you can scroll back 6 days, 6 weeks, 6 months, 6 years, even more. Now, obviously, you're not going to watch them all, nor do you need to. But if you're new, it is a great resource to have at your fingertips because it allows you to see how we've evolved over all these years, day by day by day. youtube.com/CFRN. On the left side of the screen is our schedule for each afternoon broadcast. At the top of the hour, roughly 1 p.m. Eastern, Michael will join us for a recap of everything that happened this morning in the live training room, and then do a little live trading as time and the markets permit. Right now, we'll start where we always do on the afternoon broadcast with our daily devotional. The topic we're on that we've been on for about a month and we've still got a little ways to go. Everyday faith. Today's scripture is Mark 1:41. I'll share it from the NIV translation. Jesus was indignant. He reached out his hand and touched the man. "I am willing," he said. "Be clean." Again, that's Mark 1, verse 41. The leper asked to be made clean. He stood in front of Jesus with a condition that made him untouchable. Religious law required distance. Society said he was an outcast. His disease marked him as contaminated. But Jesus was moved with compassion, and he stretched out his hand and touched him. He could have healed with a word. He had the authority to command from a distance. Instead, he reached. Before the leprosy left, the touch came. Before the cleansing, there was contact. Jesus moves toward what others avoid. Nearness was the beginning of restoration. We often protect ourselves with distance. We classify certain people as complicated, disruptive, and exhausting. We keep clean space between us and whatever feels messy. The heart of Jesus does not recoil. As he forms us, our instincts begin to change. Distance gives way to presence, not compromise, not agreement. Presence. We no longer treat people as a contamination to avoid, but as image bearers to approach. So who in your world feels untouchable to you? Let's pray. Heavenly Father, show us where we hide behind distance. Give us the courage to move towards people without fear, and keep our hearts anchored in you as we do so. It's in Jesus' name we believe and pray. And everybody said, Amen. Amen, and happy Monday. Let me give you the numbers from around the world. Then we'll take a look at the news, the alerts, and the charts. Then Michael will join us, top of the hour. All right, starting here in the U.S. with the cash markets, or the indices, as they're called. The Dow's currently down 136 points. The NASDAQ is up 66. S&P 500 is up 4.5. The Russell 2000 is down 16. In the commodity basket, crude oil is up $6.41. We broke the highest weekly trading zone this morning on a Monday. Incredible. Crude last went off at $93.75 a barrel. That's a gain on the session of well over 7%. Gold, on the other hand, is down $88.80, trading $45.04 last. That's a drop of almost 2%. Silver down 64 cents, trading 75.25 last. That's a drop of almost 1%. And the Asian markets at the close. The Nikkei posted a gain of 604 points, almost 1%. Shanghai dropped 10. Hang Seng gained 215, almost 1%. And in the European markets at the close, FTSE down 70, the DAX down 110, the CAC down 36. So we had a mixed day in Asia. It was a red day for the UK. And at the moment, it's a mixed Radio Monday here in the US of A. Now, the last day of the month and the first day of the month are typically two of the biggest trading days of the month, because that's when fund managers tend to rebalance their portfolios, getting rid of the losers and bringing in the hot trots. So we'll look at volume when we go to the daily chart of the S&P and just see how so far today compares with what happened on Friday. Turning in the news, Israel has seized a medieval castle. Yep, you heard that right. Israel has seized control of Beaufort, a medieval castle in Lebanon, several miles from the Israeli border. The capture marks the farthest Israeli soldiers have ventured into the country since their 18-year occupation of southern Lebanon ended in 2000. The news comes as Israel and Lebanon continue negotiations to end the weeks-long hostilities. Lebanon agreed in 2024 to disarm Hezbollah, the Iranian-backed militant group based largely in southern Lebanon. However, violence broke out again between Hezbollah and Israel in March, with Hezbollah launching rockets in response to Israeli attacks on Iran. Israel has since carried out airstrikes and invaded southern Lebanon, killing more than 3,300 people and displacing more than 1.2 million, according to the latest estimates. The war between Israel and Hezbollah could have implications for the U.S. war with Iran. Iran has said any peace deal with the U.S. must also end the war in Lebanon. Trump says Israel will do whatever he tells them to do, so we'll see. And for you sports fans, the San Antonio Spurs will meet the New York Knicks in the NBA Finals, Game 1, Wednesday night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. This comes after upsetting the defending champion, the Oklahoma City Thunder, in Game 7 Saturday night. The Spurs will face the New York Knicks, who are in their first finals since 1999, when they lost to the Tim Duncan-led Spurs. San Antonio's led by a 22-year-old French phenom, Victor, who's widely regarded as the top player of the NBA's next generation. The fluid 7'4" center, 7'4", had 22 points, including going 3 of 5 from the three-point line. The Thunder entered the game shorthanded, with guard Jalen Williams out with a hamstring injury, while 7'1" center Chet Holmgren was held to 4 points while only taking 2 shots. It's going to be exciting this week. Those tickets, the nosebleed section tickets, are like $4,000. Hold on just a minute. Okay, where were we? Hollywood. Horror film Back Rooms is projected to have grossed more than $81 million domestically and $118 million worldwide in its opening weekend. The haul marks the best debut in A24's history. The movie's concept dates back to a message board on 4chan. In 2019, an anonymous user posted an image of empty yellow wallpapered rooms and encouraged others to upload similarly disquieting images. Now, the actual photo that appeared on 4chan, it was a photo taken at a former Wisconsin furniture store in the early 2000s. One user characterized the images as back rooms, with the concept inspiring a YouTube series by then 16-year-old director Kane Parsons. A24 tapped Parsons to adapt his series into a feature-length film at age 20. He's the youngest director in the company's history. A24 began as a film distribution company in 2012 and expanded to production as its films gained accolades and cult followings. The company is now valued at $3.5 billion. You make a whole lot of money on that YouTube. You just got to know how to use it. On Wall Street, two of its RTX Spark Superchip for Windows laptops. I put out a post in the Breeze channel in Telegram about this. I think it was Friday. The processor, which includes a Blackwell GPU and Grace CPU, will power laptops from manufacturers including Asus, Dell, HP, and Microsoft when it lands this fall. So this will be interesting. Windows laptops running not Intel. Won't say Intel inside anymore. It'll say NVIDIA inside. I wonder who the clever guy in marketing is that'll get the job of spinning that. By the way, Anthropic has confidentially filed with the SEC for their IPO. Now, if I'm reading in the news, I'm not sure how confidential that is, but it just popped up on my screen. Back to NVIDIA and their new superchip. Unveiled during NVIDIA's GTC Taipei event, the RTX Spark, which is also coming to small desktops, is meant for customers running AI agents, content creators, and, importantly, gamers. Intel and AMD stock fell 6% and 5% respectively on the news. NVIDIA rose 4%, Microsoft climbed 3%. According to the company, the RTX Spark will pack upwards of 128 gigs of memory, a massive amount for any laptop. Memory serves as a kind of temporary holding area for data that the CPU needs to access quickly. Generally, the more memory, the better the overall performance. Most laptops generally contain 16 gigs of memory. Now, we're talking about a leap here from 16 to 128. I thought my new laptop with 64 gigs, I thought that was kind of special, but I guess it's been outdone. Most laptops, again, have about 16 gigs of memory, but higher end systems, the ones that we use for trading and for content creation, etc., and also the MacBook Pro can be outfitted with up to 128 gigs. But to get that configuration, you'll have to shell out about $5,000. That's if you get it on sale. NVIDIA hasn't announced pricing 4 laptops running its new chip, but it did note that the first systems will target the premium market. However, it will also offer less powerful versions of the RTX Spark with less memory for use in lower-priced notebooks. While NVIDIA didn't provide a look at any of the laptops built using the chip, it did offer hints at styling and features, noting that the notebooks will be roughly 14 millimeters thick, include HD webcams, and have all-day battery life. Now, as a result, NVIDIA is up almost 5% on the session, or $9.84 a share. NVIDIA said the RTX Spark laptops will be particularly good at powering AI agents, semi-autonomous and fully autonomous digital helpers that perform tasks on your behalf. Because the RTX Spark uses an ARM-based Grace processor, NVIDIA said it has been working with Microsoft and software developers to ensure that their programs can run on the chip. That's because the vast majority of the software in the world has been built to run on x86 chips from Intel and AMD. It's taken 3 years to get developers to either create ARM versions of their apps or build emulators that can translate x86-based programs to run on ARM chips. And while initial attempts yielded less than stellar results, the work has paid off. Qualcomm's ARM-based processors already power Windows laptops and can run the vast majority of apps with ease while providing impressive battery life. But gaming on ARM poses some issues. I'm sure they'll get that worked out by the release in the fall. As we mentioned, oil's up, way up. Oil prices surged today after news that Iran has reportedly stopped exchanging messages with U.S. negotiators over the ongoing Israeli front in Lebanon, throwing into question deal-making that President Trump had suggested was close at hand. In fact, Iran, they're feeling a little froggy. They've, I think, just pretty much said, we no longer want to negotiate. Not good. Headlines today from the state-controlled Iranian news agency said Iran had halted exchanges of messages with the U.S. And of course, that sent oil surging while equities and bonds fell on what appears to be a major breakdown in negotiations. I've had no faith or confidence in these negotiations since the start, so no doomsday prophet, but I'm not surprised. I mean, come on. Bill Clinton was president the last time Micron supported this kind of relative strength index on the charts. According to Yahoo Finance AlphaSpace, the RSI on memory chip play Micron currently stands at 90. It hasn't been this high since hitting 96 on September 1st of 1995. The RSI is a popular momentum indicator used in technical analysis to measure the speed and change of a stock's price movement. When the RSI rises above 70, it typically indicates that the asset has experienced a rapid upward price movement and may be overvalued or overbought, or due for a trend reversal or corrective pullback. You see a lot of that in the live training room each and every day. While we don't use the RSI index, we do use as part of our trade up overbought and oversold conditions. Dollar Tree rose sharply Thursday after the discount retailer reported first quarter results that topped Wall Street expectations. Dollar Tree reported first quarter adjusted earnings of $1.74 per share, exceeding analyst estimates of $1.55 per share. Quarterly revenue totaled $4.98 billion, topping Wall Street's expectations of $4.97 billion. Net sales increased 7.2% year over year, while comparable store sales rose 3.5%. The fact that 99-cent only went out of business, that's been a big help for Dollar Tree. For the last, you got Dollar General, but things aren't, you're hard pressed to find something for $1 at Dollar General. Dollar Tree is one of the last truly dollar stores. Now, we all remember the original dollar stores. They were these dark, dank places with a lot of dusty merchandise on the shelves, and probably a clerk that didn't speak English. But everything really was 99 cents or less. Volatility caused by the Iran war has created opportunities for top stock pickers. Morningstar identified the 10 most bought stocks among top fund managers in the last 3 months. Western Digital, Taiwan Semiconductor, and GE Aerospace were among the most popular names. Volatility can be tough to navigate for investors, but it can also make for a stock picker's dream. I said this before, and I hate even saying it, but historically it's proven true. War is good for the markets. Is it any wonder that we're always in some kind of war, some way, somewhere? At the Tiger Fuel gas station and convenience store near the foothills of the Blue Ridge Mountains, that is some of the most beautiful scenery in the world. The managers expect to pay more in fees to credit card companies this year than they will on rent. One more expense weighing on the company and its customers amid the surging price of gas. Those credit card fees, which can be as high as 5% for some premium cards, offering luxury perks and hefty rewards, have been contributing to higher prices and limiting how much the store can spend on other areas like wages. It's tougher for us to stay afloat, tougher for us to make money at our stores. It makes it harder for us to keep our prices low. The total credit and debit card fees paid by merchants to card processors, led by Visa and MasterCard, have increased 70% since 2019 to $198 billion in 2025. The rise has been fueled by an overall increase in consumer spending, a shrinking number of people using cash, and an uptick in fees charged by credit card companies that largely go toward funding rewards programs. Do you ever wonder how they are able to give you all those points and perks and whatnot? You're paying for it. That's how they do it. It's tricky. Yeah, merchants are paying for it, but a lot of stores now are starting to pass that along. Oh, you're going to pay with a card? Okay, well, the price just changed. But then you try to go to the ATM to get some cash out, and well, now you got a fee there, unless it's the ATM from your bank. It's getting tough out there. But you already know that. A Canadian man went to a Tim Hortons coffee shop with a minor medical problem, spoke to a doctor, and was promptly taken to a medical facility and euthanized under state-sanctioned MAID policies. That's M-A-I-D. Sadly, this is the most modern Canada story of all time. A recent report highlights how Canada's Medical Assistance in Dying program has created exactly the kind of slippery slope conservatives warned about. According to the Globe and Mail, Dr. James McLean is being investigated by the College of Physicians and Surgeons of Ontario for crossing professional boundaries relating to two 2024 medical assistance in dying cases. In one case, the doctor was accused of improperly administering drugs to the patient he was killing. The patient began breathing again after being pronounced dead, and the doctor had to return to do the procedure all over again. And they say you can only die once. The second case was reportedly related to the death of Thomas Dillon, a 45-year-old Ontario man who had Crohn's disease. Dillon also had a history of mental illness and suicidal thinking, according to the report. The physician allegedly evaluated him for MAID, and again that's M-A-I-D, eligibility outside of Tim Hortons in London, Ontario. You think this kind of a life-altering decision would be made, I don't know, in a doctor's office? Months later, after exchanging dozens of text messages, they met up again. Dr. McLean met Mr. Dillon at the Tim Hortons and then drove him to a location in London where Mr. Dillon had agreed to have the procedure done. Dr. McLean administered the lethal medications in a room at a holding facility in an industrial unit where cadavers are prepared for transport to funeral homes. The story drew widespread commentary on X. The Daily Wire's Matt Walsh condemned the entire Canadian system. Yeah, Horrors beyond comprehension happening just to our north, he wrote on X. There's a much better moral argument for invading Canada and deposing its regime than invading or bombing any country 10,000 miles away. Industrial scale eugenics and mass murder happening right next door. The Ontario incident is being treated as a possible case of malpractice. The investigative committee noted that the limited regulatory response to such a case was... I don't know how much you know about things of this nature, but there's a lot of people like Bill Gates that are quite keen on getting rid of all of us who are a drag on society. I'm sure you've all heard about Dr. Jill's new book. I thought I had an article here on it, but I guess I don't. I really thought I did. Okay. All right, through his support behind reality and aired a pointed nickname for incumbent Karen Bass days before the city's June 2nd primary. The Cheers Ann Fraser star delivered the line while leaving a campaign event in Westlake Village, telling the New York Post, I just call her Karen Bass Ackwards. That's what we've always called her in my house. He praised Pratt as the only serious choice in the race, adding, he's the only guy that's a real option. You really, if you don't know anything about this guy, Spencer Pratt, I think you should look into him. And now, obviously, if you don't live in LA, it really doesn't matter to you that much. There's an old saying, so as California goes, so goes the rest of the world. Yeah. So, anyway, the bee goes on. Okay, Logic 247. How do we end up last week? Let me look. I was out Friday. I think I got it right here. Oh, Lord. Here we go. Week 408. We ended the week with 55 alerts. We only had a 4-day week last week. Monday was a holiday. Out of the 55 alerts issued, 12 never triggered, so we had 43 actionable alerts. And we have 4 stop outs, or 9%. Now this week, so far, today only being Monday, we're in week 409. Over the last 409 weeks, we've issued over 22,400 individual handcrafted alerts. And what we've averaged on a weekly basis is 20% or less of the alerts being stopped out based simply on market structure, a simple process we teach all of our passport holders. Since the markets opened last night at 6 p.m. Eastern, we've issued 14 alerts so far. Still waiting on the outcome of 7. Valerie did the recap this morning at 6:30 a.m. Eastern. So at the time of the recap, still waiting on 7. So we had 7 actionable alerts, 1 stop out, and that puts us at 14% for the week. Last 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks, we've been in single digits by Friday. I have no idea where we'll be by this Friday, but starting the week off with a little higher number than normal. Now, the purpose of the Logic 247 alerts is to help you learn how to read a chart. If you're going to trade, it's important that you know where to anticipate potential resistance and potential support. In doing so, you illuminate the windows of opportunity that lie between those important points. And that's where you'll find some of your best high probability, low risk trade opportunities. Every logic alert is an entry price, long or short, an initial target, in most cases additional targets, and then a final trade to target. If you never actually trade a logic alert, you can still use them for the purpose intended, and that's to learn to read the chart. Now, the logic alerts can come out any time around the clock, 2 a.m. or 2 p.m. Futures trade around the clock. We have traders around the globe. Our day session is their night session, and vice versa. At 409 weeks, that's a little over 7.5 years, which is a pretty long time. But many years before we introduced Logic 247, we had our original alert service, the Concierge Trade Alerts. They're different in a lot of different ways, but for the purpose of this discussion, I'll just say they don't come out around the clock. They're posted as a static report shortly before the Globex Open each evening, typically 5:55 p.m. Eastern. The week began not when Wall Street opened this morning. The The week began, for us anyway, last night at 6 p.m. Eastern when the Globex markets opened. So if you think there's nothing going on Sunday night, there's quite a bit going on Sunday night. Just got to tune into the right channel. So what this means is that all of our traders had all of these targets 5 minutes before the market opened last night. S&P 500, the Dow, the Russell, crude oil, the NQ, gold, and silver. So let's go look at the charts, see what it all looks like. We'll start where we always do with the S&P 500 E-mini futures, the bellwether. We had a new all-time historic high on Friday at 76.11.5, and the day ended in a doji. And we got a new all-time historic high today, 76.23, and we also have a daily doji. And the black step line looks like it once again wants to cross blue and climbing. Now when the black step line crosses blue and climbing, see at the beginning of this move up, see how they're running parallel? Step line's on the left, blue and climbing's on the right, and then they get closer and closer and closer, and once it crosses, that's when we typically see a retracement back to the BBC. But that one was a head fake. So up we go. We get back on the left side of blue and climbing. We make another run. Once again we cross, and we still don't pull back. Now we've crossed back to the left side of blue and climbing, but now it looks like this will be, there was 1, 2, this will be the third attempt. So once it crosses this time, will we get our pullback to the BBC? Now it's been that way for an awful lot of years, since 2008. So I don't think it's permanently changed. I think we're just seeing some very unusual market activity. There's a lot going on in the world. And this is an engulfing candle. If we were to sell off into the close, you like to see a red candle that completely engulfs the prior day's candles. As you can see, we've taken out Friday's high and we've taken out Friday's low. So that makes it an engulfing candle or an outside day. If we were to close with a red body, you could consider that a bearish engulfing candle. And the context is proper for a bearish engulfing candle. But that is not by any stretch a textbook example. A true bearish engulfing would be, this is where we closed on Friday. We gap higher on the open, and then we close below Friday's low. That would be a textbook bearish engulfing candle. And this is not. So we'll see what comes out of it. Of course, a lot will depend on how we close the day and what news comes out of Washington, D.C. today. If these talks in Iran are actually really over, then what comes next? The world's waiting to know. Price always reverts to the mean, and in our case, the mean is green. It's called the BBC. It just stands for bull bear cross. When price crosses below the green line, we're bearish and expect lower prices. When price crosses above the green line, we're bullish and expect higher prices. And price always reverts to the mean. It doesn't matter what you trade or how you trade it. It just is. It's kind of like gravity. Now, all alerts, both the logic alerts and the concierge trade alerts, are all created on a 30-minute chart. Not that there's anything magical about the 30-minute chart. It's just the time frame I chose years ago, and I've stuck with it. The vertical lines that you see separate today, Monday. Here's Friday. Back here's Thursday, Wednesday. The horizontal lines are the weekly trading zones. They're published every Monday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern. We publish the zones every week for our members for over 16 years, since December 14th of 2009. Now, these are last week's zones. All the alerts that go out on Sunday night are based on the previous week's zones. The new zones don't come out till Monday morning at 6:15. So now that the new zones are out, any alerts that I put out today and for the rest of the week will be based on the new zones. But you're seeing last week's zones because that's what I had to work with last night. Okay. Now that I've published the new zones, all alerts will reflect that. And on tomorrow's broadcast, you'll see this week's zones on my chart. Now, this was the opening candle last night. We had red and climbing, or red and falling right below price. Price got above the BBC, red and falling turned to blue and climbing. So when price is above the BBC and above the black step line, and you have blue and climbing, that is the perfect recipe for higher prices. And that's what we got. By the 8 o'clock 30-minute candle, or during the 8 o'clock 30-minute candle, we hit the CTA long target at 76.11, which was simply based off that new all-time high from Friday. Market structure's pretty simple. The short target, which we hit, and it looks like we spiked it a little bit. Yeah, we got down to 76.25. The short target was at 78. The short target was simply based off this low right here from Friday. So we hit the long target, and we hit the short target. Now, when the market finds support, as it has done right here, you see how the black step line crossed red and falling, and what did price do? It pulled back to the BBC. You can see it over here. You get a leg and a retracement, 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 and a leg and a retracement. The pullback holds more often than it doesn't. It's really simple. As for the weekly zones, when price drops to a zone, we expect support till proven otherwise. When price rallies up to a zone, we expect resistance till proven otherwise. Resistance always sends the market looking for support. Support sends the market looking for resistance, which sends the market looking for support, which sends the market looking for resistance, and then support, and on and on and on. It's a never-ending cycle. It's just how markets work. So we got a leg and a retracement. Now, the pullback is held for 1, 2, this is the third 30-minute candle. And there's about 10 minutes left in the life of this candle. So far the pullback is held. If we trade through the BBC, we got a bearish cross right here. That's potential resistance. Then, of course, we got the long target, and then we got this potential resistance here at 76.14, and then again up here, what's the high there? 76.23. That's that new all-time historic high we spoke of. But the way it looks right now, looks like price wants to move higher, but until we open and close above the 30-minute BBC, we got to anticipate another leg to the downside. But again, you wait for the market to show you what it's going to do. What you want it to do, or you think it should do, is pretty much irrelevant. Because the market's going to do what the market's going to do. And all you got to do is the same thing. God, that makes it sound really simple, huh? Okay, this was the opening candle last night on the Dow. We came down and we touched the BBC. So we had this is from Friday, a leg and a retracement, a leg, and then last night, there's the retracement, the pullback held. Now on Friday, we were up against this weekly trading zone once, twice, 3 times, and then last night we hit it, and we hit it again, and then we finally broke through it. Look at all those attempts to get through that zone. Now that zone was published not this morning, but a week ago, last Monday at 6:15 a.m. Eastern. And this is the carryover power of the zones. Here they are still doing their work, right? So we got through that zone. We spiked the long target. What do we make it up to? On the down. We got a high, but I guess it's, yeah, there we go. 51,384. Okay, so resistant, what's it going to do? It's going to send the market looking for support. And where to find it? At the zone. Support sends us to resistance at the black step line, which sends us back to support at the zone. Back to resistance, or red and falling. Back to support at the zone. The zone is 870/875, and again, it was published last Monday morning. But right now, you can see this sideways consolidation. The black step line is about to cross red and falling. Only one of 3 things happens when price encounters a weekly trading zone. 70% of the time, it's consolidation. 20% of the time, rejection. 10% of the time, the slice. That's when a 30-minute candle slices through a zone like it's not even there. When that happens, when the move runs out of steam, price will typically retrace back to the zone it sliced through and then continue in the direction of the slice. That's exactly what happened there. And then again here. We sliced through that zone, came back to the zone we sliced through, continued in the direction of the slice, and hit resistance at the zone. And so right now we're dealing with the polar opposite of that. This zone is providing support, 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 support. But the step line's crossing, so we should see price move up to the BBC. Hang on 1 minute. Okay, the Russell. Here's the open last night. We're above the BBC, above the black step line. We got blue and climbing. It takes us right up to the long target during the 8:30 30-minute candle. So we found resistance at the zone now. I'm at the target, which was based off the bearish cross from Friday. Okay, when the red line gets below the green line and leads to an extended move, the first time price revisits that area where the red line crossed the green line, right there, that will almost always be good resistance. And I guess it was. Resistance will always send the market looking for support. BBC, pullback hill, back to resistance, and then down we go, all the way to the short target. Now we spiked the short target and we sliced the zone, but then look what happened. After this ran out of steam, we retraced back to the zone we sliced through and then continued in the direction of the slice down to the zone below. where we found support. Step line crossed, red and falling. Now we got to pull back to the BBC. The pullback holds more often than not, but eventually it will trade through. NQ. Here's where we opened last night, and during the 8 o'clock 30-minute candle, we hit the long target, overcame it by just a little bit, and then we got blue and climbing turned to red and falling. When blue and climbing gets directly above price, it becomes potential resistance because it's probably on its way to becoming red and falling. Blue and climbing is bullish, red and falling is bearish. So we get below the BBC, we have a leg, a retracement, and then we have a leg. But it didn't take us all the way to the short target, which was based off this low, or this area right here, this bullish cross. We didn't get down there. We got held up at these lows right here from Friday. And that has sent the NQ definitely higher. Now watch for resistance right here. Call it 35.90 to be conservative. Okay, in fact, we're just about there. We don't have far to go at all. You got two things going on here. You got this high, and you've got this area where blue turned to red. See how close we are? That should be good resistance. If we take that out, well, I guess anything can happen. Crude oil has already exceeded the highest weekly trading zone this week. True story. The highest zone this week's 94.20. And this morning we got up to almost one of the zones from last week. We got up to 94. Come on. Wow. 94.78. Okay. We had a gap higher open last night. Step line cross. We did not get the pullback to the BBC. So that, in this case, is a sign of strength. Right up we go to the long target, which was based off the bearish cross from Thursday. We hit it. Low retracement, overcame it, pull back to the BBC. Now this candle right here was a head fake. It opened and closed below the BBC. That would typically lead to lower prices. But this one did the exact opposite. Look at how far we traveled. This candle opened at 89.65. That's about a $5,000 move. When the price of crude moves $1, it's worth $5,000. It's worth $1,000 per contract traded, and that looks like about a $5 move. Close to it, yeah, about $5. Now the step line's crossing blue and climbing, and prices coming right back to the BBC. Pullback holds more often than not. Head fake. Gold has rolled to the Q contract and has been getting hammered. SpaceX just filed an amended S1 with the US SEC. What are they amending? Doesn't say in this article. Okay. All right, so gold opened right at one of last week's zones, 45.71. And in the first 30-minute candle, we almost hit the short target. Buyers came in, drove it back up to the BBC and the zone. So that was resistance times 2. and it held. Sent price back down to the short target and the zone below. Had a little bounce, and then we got through the zone, and we hit the next zone. And remember, when price drops to a zone, we expect support. Support. Pull back to the BBC and the zone. Resistance. Support. Step lines crossed. Now we're trying to make our way back to the BBC. Price always reverts to the mean. That's what we're waiting to happen. Silver. Last night, this move to the downside was just wild. Now, when silver moves $1, that's worth $5,000 per contract traded. We opened last night at 75.56 and fell to 73.50. That's crazy. But the first 30-minute candle closed right at the zone from last week. Support sent us up to resistance, which has now sent us back to support, and now sent us back to resistance. Now, will the pullback hold or not? If we trade through the BBC, you got a bearish cross right here. So keep that in mind. That's potential resistance. And then, of course, resistance here and here. Okay, hang on 1 second. Hang on 1 second, guys. All right. Then let me try this. Michael's having trouble getting in. Hang on just a second. So we're finding a resistance there. Maybe this zone will hold a support. Michael's trying to get in. I think he might have just got in. Hang on. I don't see you, buddy. Okay, he made it in. Now let me find him. There we go. Okay, yes. All right, you should be good to go.
There it is. All right, and I'm in as me. Look at that.
Yes, you are.
All right, well, that's good.
All right, guys, that covers all the markets. So Michael's going to give us a recap of what happened in the live training room this morning and do a little live trading. I'll come back, wrap things up with our good word for the day.
Excellent. Here we go. All right. Yeah, it was really weird. I got to go check and see. I might have stuck the link last week in the wrong place on the web page, because go here and I clicked on this. The webinar has ended. Yeah. Okay, I did stick it in the wrong place. All right, so I gotta go fix that. No big deal. I will fix that.
Okay, well, your screens look good.
Okay, here we go. Good afternoon, everyone. Today is Monday, the 1st day of June, 2026. Now, If you have not taken a free trial with us and you'd like to, go here to mytradingiq.com, click on the purple button. There is no credit card required for this trial. Just click on that purple button. I'm guessing the purple button down here, way down here, doesn't work. No, it does. Look at that. Huh. But then I'll have to go fix that other thing because it's pointing in the wrong place. So just click the purple button and that will bring you to the registration page, which we were just looking at. This registration page, where all that we ask for is your name, your email, and your phone number. Down at the bottom gives you TradingView login ID. Hit the register button. Once you hit register, we will know that you took the free trial. We'll get everything working for you. All right, so at this juncture, I am going to go into the spreadsheet. Okay, today is the first day of June, so our spreadsheet looks pretty blank. But we did have a good day today. Now, this is our 5th day in a row over $1,000. So we're almost getting back on track. You know, I was saying this morning, we're at $1,100 right now. And last month, it took us a whole week to get to $1,100. This is how we started it out. 229 ticks on the account. Our last 2 trades of the morning were actually stop outs. We stopped out on the ES and we stopped out on the NQ. So anyway, this is the way it worked out. 229 ticks on the NQ, -9 on the Russell, +20 on the YM, and -8 on the ES. So that put us at $1,100 this morning with 1 contract. Today it took 5 minutes and 4 trades to get to $2,700. That is with 10 contracts. We took a total of 33 trades with 5 stop outs. So 84% of our trades this morning were break even or better. On the month now, we're at $1,100 over 1 day, averaging 1,100, and all this stuff got updated. And down here now on the year, we're at $95,720. That's over 90 trading days, averaging $1,063 per contract for 2-hour trading day. And in here, if you were to quit trading when you get the goal for the day, is Surge in here? Surge is not in here. If you were to quit trading when you get the goal for the day and you would add 1 contract per month, so far this year, you would have only had to work 13.8 hours and you'd be up $41,102.50. That's if you did everything exactly like I did and had all the same slippage and everything else. Okay, you should actually do better than me. So that averages out to $2,978 per hour. Okay, 13.8 hours, $41,000, $2,978 an hour. Not too bad if you can get it. So let's go into the trades that we did and or didn't do. This is the Russell, and this is the whole day on the Russell. We started out right here. Now, I was really hoping we were going to keep going up once we got up above it right here. We're back to it. It's 108. I really need that to make a difference here by the next 3 hours. It's going to need a tweet. We need a tweet from Trump for that to happen, I think. Our first trade on the Russell was right here. We picked up 6 ticks on that. The next one was here. We picked up 7. That got us to 13. Then we stopped out, put us at -12. Then we picked up 12. That got us to 0. And then we stopped out again, -25. And then we picked up 5 and 11. And that got us to -9 altogether. And it brings us to where we are right now. And it looks like just a minute ago, there was a trade off the mid-band right there. It's not a trade now that you can take because it's already gone to the point where you would have bumped your stop to break even +5. All right, the YM now. Did not have a lot of trades on the YM, did we? Not that many. We're all back here at the beginning. So our first trade on the YM was a 5 tick. Second trade was a 5 tick. Third trade was a 5 tick. And the fourth trade, all the way back here, was another 5 ticks. So we got 20 ticks on the YM. I was hoping that very first trade would have got 5 ticks on it. If we would have stuck it out, it would have given us the full 20 ticks, the full goal. But risk management is there for a reason, and I just follow the rules. All right, the ES is next, and let's see. Okay, here we go. Our very first trade on the ES was 1 tick. Then we stopped out, put us at -9, and we had a break even. Then we had a +1 that got us to -8. Then a couple more break evens, then a +4 that got us to -4. Then a stop out got us to -14. Then we picked up 6 ticks to get us back to -8. That was our big trade of the day right there with 6 ticks. And that was it. Right now, we do not have any trade set up on the ES at the moment. You see how it tried to get out of the oversold and tried to make it up, and it just never made it into the overbought. The NQ is kind of the same way right now. Now, we killed it on the NQ for a while today. We had like 5 really, the big trades, 5 of them. Not all of them got exactly the right, not all of them got the 50 ticks, but still they were up there in the total number of ticks overall. The first trade we did was right here. We picked up 39. That's one of them that should have given us 50, and it gave us 39. The next trade, we went from 39 to, 87, then 87 to 97, then 97 to 106, 106 to 118, 118 to 128, then 128 to 178. That was a big one. Then 178 to 188. And break even, which is odd on the NQ. That means I had 10 ticks of slip right there. And 188 went to 198, 198 to 206, 206 to 216, and then 216 to 265. So there's a big trade in here somewhere from 216 to 265, and then we stumped up. This was our last trade. We're from 265 down to 229. And that was it for the morning session. We don't have any trade here right at the moment. Okay, so the way it panned out for us was, well, most of our trades were on the NQ. We were up 229 ticks, but we did stop out on the last trade there on the NQ. And that brought us down to, from 265 down to 229. We also stopped out on our last trade on the Russell. And I'm sorry, not the Russell, on the ES. Well, actually, it wasn't the very last trade. It was the next to last trade on the ES. So we were up pretty good at one point. But then we ended up sadly giving a chunk of it back. We were still up pretty good. $1,100 a contract is very good. So that was the way it was today. Now I have to go do something really quick while we're waiting. We don't have any trades right here right at the moment. So I'm going to update something right now because I apparently messed it up last week when this is really odd. So I am not able to get to a link for this. I'm going to have to try that through a different browser. Maybe I can get to it through this browser. And let me slide that over here. Oops. Well, hang on. I'll do this later. I'll do that later. Let's get in here. All right. Well, that was a trade over there, but it happened while I was talking. There's nothing else giving us a trade right now. So what do we have left? We have 16 minutes left. So we'll go to this and go down to the bottom here and put a 102. And all the way over here at the end, 16. Okay. So we'll be optimistic and copy that green one down there. Copy that green one down there. All right. This becomes a 101. And we wait. All right. Does anyone have any questions about anything right at the moment? Just get out the question box so I can see if you do. Does not look like anyone has any questions. So I would just take whatever trades come along. If I can. All right. Well, let's go here. This is getting up to, I think this is the high of the day, right? Isn't this where we are right now? This right here, 910.2 is the high of the day on our Russell. It's getting there. It needs to go a lot faster. Need a Trump tweet. Just to make it go cray cray. Get all the way up there. We're below everything here. We should have flipped the YBR right there, but we didn't on that. Should have flipped the YBR here. They're all kind of dragging right now, like they want to flip the YBR, but none of them did. In the meantime, the Russell is almost ready to put in a new high on the day. And Dwayne was talking earlier about the crude oil and how crude had made the highest weekly trading zone already. Typically, that means by the end of the week, the crude is going to be going all the way down to the other weekly trading zone at the other end. The other extreme.
We're on the N contract now. I don't know if you were planning to go there.
On crude? Okay, well, that's good to know. I was coming over to look at the ES to see. This is all-time high right here today, isn't it? On the ES.
Yep. Yeah, we had a new all-time high Friday, but day ended in a doji. And we got a new all-time high today. And the last time I looked at the daily, it was a doji.
Yeah, looking pretty doji-ish again. About this guy.
It's a sign of indecision.
It is. Let's look at this guy on a daily. Ooh, that's ugly. All right, well, this is not really giving you much to work with here on a daily chart on the Russell. It's not near the all-time high either. It's a lot high. It's near the high of the day, though. All right, the NQ on an up close here could have a trade. The bottom of this is at 38.75, and the mid-band is at 46. So it would be okay. 48.75 is what you'd be buying on that. Okay. The ES could also give a trade here. This is really ugly the way these are coming together. You see how they went from this wide open range right here to this really narrow range on both of them. But they could still both be trades. It's got a low 99.50, so you'd be buying 150 on that. And over here on the NQ, it's got a low of 38.75, so you'd be buying 48.75 now. Just a second, the low's at 50. Now the low's at 38.75, so 48.75 is what you'd be buying. And the YMs, see how it's coming at it's got a green background, but it's a 50% retracement. If you didn't have any background at all right here, you're in the overbought, hitting the 50% retracement from the bottom. Be thinking that's a sell, not a buy. Well, it's not a buy, but there's the ES. The ES gave the up close, and that is actually a valid trade right there on the ES. Doesn't look like it's very powerful here. Not really moving all that quickly, but it's a valid trade. And the ES is just about to bump the stop. It's got to go up one more tick to bump the stop. And it's got this number right here. And it's going to go through. It just went through. There it is. Locking one tick. So we have some profit today. The NQ actually just triggered up too. So the ES, now we're going to lock in 4 ticks on that. And the NQ is right here. Put that window on top. this window on top. And the NQ just starting to move. So we're at plus 8 on the ES and we're at plus 12 on the NQ right now. So we're out with 8 on the ES and we're plus 12 on the NQ, plus 16 on the NQ, 20 on the NQ, 24, 28, 30. I'm sorry, 32, 36. My math wrong there. 36, 40, bang, 40. So between the two trades right there, that was $3,000. Or 300 with one contract. Okay, that one there, that one there. So let's go put those in the recap total here. NQ was 40, and the ES was 8. All right, 2, 0. All right, so get back in here, and so the Russell just kept going up and up and up. That's good. That's what we want to see. We want to see strength in all this. We want to see Trump throw out a tweet right now that says Strait is open. And bring the IWM. This guy, it's getting there. Bring the IWM.
The last news I saw, Iran called off negotiations.
Yeah, that's the last thing I saw too. Well, it probably saw it because you put it out there. That makes sense, doesn't it? So Riot is up pretty good. I was only looking for, I think, 50% gain on that. That filled me the first 5 minutes. Riot and the IBIT. So in the CFRN options channel, Dwayne, there's a little bit of dialogue in there today that you get a chance, maybe take a look at.
Okay, I will.
All right, so I want to go short on this because it's a 50% retracement of this leg down, and we're in the overbought, but it's got a green background. So what I really want to see it do is close up and take that whole short thing out of my head. That's what I'd really like to see it do. Okay. So this is getting closer and closer to being in the money. Can you compare one of the CFRN charts if you were to do an option? They work really well. Yes, Jessica. We can. Well, let's take something. You know what? Let me go out to the Logic 247. Well, I could take what Stephen put out there this morning. Okay. Now, was this all from this morning? This was right here. This was this candle right here you were talking about, right, Jessica, this morning? This one right here. So Stephen was saying that if we break up above this level right here, there's a window of opportunity, a woo spot right there. You probably shouldn't call it a woo spot, but a window of opportunity right there for it to get up to the next level up here. Now, when you see something like this, and you know, with this stuff, it could be the same day, it could be the next day, so it could be like a one-day option, but they're weekly options, right? This is Oracle, by the way. So the weekly options on Oracle, Oracle may be every other day. Let me check that. And see. Hang on. I got windows all over the place here. Yeah, undo that one, and move this over. And got my Schwab thingy. and log into that special account that I created just for showing people stuff. And hold it. Hold it. That's not the right account. And go to accounts. Sorry.
Jessica says next expiration is June 5th.
June 5th. Okay, so it's Friday. So they are weekly then. Okay. So if I go to trade and options, and let's just bring up Oracle. ORCL, I think is the symbol, right? Yep. And the call options. Now this morning, the call options this morning, when we're looking at this, right? This morning, looking at this is 225, possibly is what you're looking at, call options, the 225 calls this morning. And so they would be right here, 225 calls. Now look at what they're priced at right now. That's, if you were to buy it right now, it'd be $2,200, $2,230, $2,230. I'm sorry, to buy it right now, it'd be $2,310. To sell it, it'd be $2,230. Now that's a little bit of a spread. It's not much when you consider how big it is, but when I click on show full quote, they're up 162% today. 162%. And that right in here, when it broke out of this consolidation and got into the woo spot, if you would have been waiting for that to get into the woo spot, to get toward the woo spot, you could have bought the options this morning. And I mean, they're up, well, 162%. They're up $14.03. So let me show you. This 1403 is $1,403 is what they're up today. If you would have bought them this morning, we're up $1,403 per option. Okay, right now the delta on this is all the way up at 85. So basically, the way to play this is, you know, when Dwayne does his logic 247 and he gives you all his charts, and Steven gives you all these charts. Steven spends a lot of time mapping out the charts and everything based on the logic 247 and all the support and resistance areas that Dwayne gives, and that Dwayne's been teaching everybody for a long time. When you see something like this and a breakout like that, that could be such a huge thing. You can buy a call option right there. You can buy something a little bit out of the money so it's not so expensive, and you know, get something with the delta of, like, you know, if it's got such a big move that it's supposed to do like this, you get something a little bit out of it, you know, a little bit out of the money, something with a delta of like 40 or something like that. But if you want it to move more like a stock, again, have to pay more for the option. You get something with a bigger delta, like a delta of like 70 or 80, and then it's going to move just like the stock, but you only pay the option price for it. Okay, not just like, but a lot like the stock. So I'm saying this one right here is so far in the money right now. The 225 calls are so far in the money. They have a delta of 85. So it's going to work a lot like the stock, except you only have to put up, well, right now you have to put up $2,200 for 100 shares, as opposed to $225,000 for 100 shares, or $22,500. Yeah, $22,500 for 100 shares. Did I go through that really fast? I think I probably went through that really fast. I know it's 129, but let me just go over this again a little slower.
It's all been recorded.
Oh, good. Okay, yeah. So to buy this, you'd have to pay $2,280. That's 100 shares. You're controlling 100 shares, and if you have a delta of 0.85, this is going to work a lot like the stock price. All right. The closer to 1 that gets, the more it is going to run like a stock price. So what you have here is 100 shares. That's why it costs, you know, it represents 100 shares. That's why it's this times 100. This number times 100 is what you pay for. So to have the appreciation that is a lot like the stock price, which is, I mean, it's actually way better than the stock price. You know, the stock price going up right here. What is that? It went from 225 up to 232. So the stock price went up 7 points. So if you had 100 shares of that, you made $700. If you had one of these, you made $1,400, $1,437. So there's, you know, we will, I'm sure in the future, we'll be getting a lot more into this kind of stuff, so that you'll be able to take all the stuff that Dwayne's doing and actually multiply the earnings from that. And okay, that's it. I ran out of time. But anyway, we had a good session in this one. We had just a couple of trades, and both of them were wins. And we ended up being up $3,000 in this session right here. $3,000. Right? We had 1 plus 40 there, 1 plus 8 there. So 2 trades, 100%. We're break even or better. And now that puts us at, we're averaging 110. It seems like it went down. Let me just make this 0. 109. Okay. Put it back to an 8. Okay. That's good. All right. So in these sessions, today is 6/1. First day of June. We're up 40 ticks on the NQ and 8 ticks on the ES for $3,000. We took 2 trades with 0 stop outs, and we traded for about 16 minutes this time. So on the average, we're trading about 16, almost 17 minutes in these sessions. And we're getting the goal for the day plus a little bit, averaging the goal for the day plus a little bit in these sessions. And that's over 102 of them since I've kept track. So that's about a while. All right, so if you haven't taken a free trial, go here to mytradingiq.com, click on the purple button right there. There's no credit card required for the trial. Click on that purple button, and it will bring you to this registration page right here. Just fill out the form. Right, once you fill out that form, you will be sent to everything you need to get into the room in the morning. If you see TradingView login ID down at the bottom to get your indicators indicating on your desktop. All right, that is it. With that, we can pass it back out to fabulous Phoenix, Arizona, in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Yes.
Alrighty, recap of the morning session.
Today it took 5 minutes and 4 trades to get to $2,700.
Good job. All right, guys, we covered all the markets in granular fashion, as we do each and every day. And we no longer have a doji on the day. We got a little bit of green showing there. And that is the new all-time historic high. Friday's new all-time historic high was 76.11.5. And today it's 76.23. And we're definitely higher than we were when we began the broadcast. So if you missed any part at all of today's broadcast, you can go to youtube.com/CFRN 10 minutes after I sign off here in just a couple minutes, and you can watch any or all of today's broadcast, start to finish, or any part in between. To become a member, get a hold of Valerie. You can call her at 949-42-EMINI. You can email her support@cfrn.net. Just let her know you're interested in becoming a member. She will email you all the information you need to make a well-informed, intelligent decision as to whether or not what we do is right for you. Once you become a member, you get 2 hours of live training every trading day. 9 out of 10 new traders fail just because they don't have anyone to teach them how to trade. So we plug that hole. 2 hours every trading day in an interactive environment. On top of that, as a member, you have access to private one-on-one mentoring. No extra charge. All you got to do is ask. Yep.
Sorry, I just wanted to, something just occurred to me. You were saying that crude hit the highest weekly trading zone already this week?
Yep.
Okay. So given that information, we would expect that crude is gonna have a big move down by the end of the week, right?
Yes.
So USO is, I believe, the ETF that's going to run closest to the actual crude. So what you would do in this case with options is buy puts on USO that expire on Friday. Just throwing that out there. Something to look at. Okay.
USO.
Yep. USO. I'll tell you what they're at right now. Hang on. USO. United States oil. And puts, the at the money puts right now there's a huge spread. There's a huge spread in the at the money puts. All right, I didn't realize the spread was that bad. Well, that's for 6.3 expiration. If you go out to 6.5 expiration, it's not as bad. It's more expensive. If you go out a little further, I didn't realize the spread was that bad in it. Okay. Well, you would not want to buy the ask. You want to get something closer to the mid. So if you go out to the end of the week expiration, to 6.5 expiration, it's looking like it would cost you around $350 to buy a 134 put. Now, if we go a little bit out of the money, the 135, it narrows that spread. It narrows that spread down a little bit. Can I take the charts just for a second? I'll show you.
Yeah, go right ahead.
Make me the presenter. And we'll go to monitor 1 clean. Okay. So this is a Schwab account that I have that's got nothing in it that I use just to show you these things. See the delta over here, you want to get that as close to minus 0.50 without going over it. Okay, so minus 0.48 is pretty good. That does go over it a little bit, but I'm going out here a little bit in the expiration date to get it there. Now, minus 0.52, that's probably the one you would want. So the mid on that is 4.5. The ask is 395. There's a huge difference between the bid and the ask, so you don't want to pay the ask.
Why do you think there's such a wide spread?
The volume, open interest. But I think there's because I think the market's they sense that the market is gonna change too. So right now you'd be giving up $270 per contract between the bid and the ask. If you would just go out there and buy it at $595, you'd only be able to sell it at $325. Immediately you're losing that. That's like having a spread in the DOM. So what we can do is put something in closer to the mid. Now, getting the delta right is making the spread worse. So if we go in here where the delta's even further off, but now it's down to 220 from 275. But I was thinking USO. I'll find something else. I'll find a different symbol or different ETF that won't have such a spread. But something like that is what you'd be considering right now. Where we know the edge that we have is that crude. Generally, if we hit the high, with whatever it is, but with crude oil especially, or silver or gold, if you hit the highest or lowest weekly trading zone at the beginning of the week, by the end of the week, it's usually at the other one. And that's a huge advantage. It doesn't even have to go all the way to the other one. It can go halfway. These things will triple in value.
Yeah.
But that's just what I wanted to point out. I wanted to just bring that to your attention. I'll find something else that doesn't have such a huge spread. There's got to be something else out there. USO is one of the ones that has, it was on my gap list too. USO is one of the ones that gaps a lot. All right. That was it. I just wanted to show you that.
Yeah, no, thanks. Glad you did. Thank you.
Okay. All right.
All right. I'll take the charts back. Okay. So once you become a member, you get the 2 hours of live training every day, plus the 101 private mentoring, the strategy you learn, the indicators that you have access to as a passport holder are fluid across all markets and all time frames. Stocks, futures, crypto, Forex, ETF, doesn't matter. Price flows the same across all markets and all time frames. From support to resistance, back to support, back to resistance, over and over, again and again. It's a never-ending cycle. As a passport holder, you'll get the Logic 247 alerts. Every evening, 5 minutes ahead of the Globex Open, you get the concierge trade alerts. Every Monday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern, you get the weekly trading zones. And every Thursday night, you're able to attend the members-only workshop at 8 p.m. Eastern. Last but not least, you get the golden keys that open all the private channels in Telegram. There's quite a few. It's everything a trader needs, all under one roof, one low price. Let's get a hold of Valerie. 949-42-EMINI or support@cfrn.net. Now, if you call, you'll probably get her voicemail. So leave a message. She will call you back. So let's wrap it up with our good word for today. Believe God for abundance. Deuteronomy 30, verse 9. The Lord your God will make you abound in all the work of your hand. A young artist called her aunt one day to let her know she was leaving on a trip to a fashionable resort to try and sell her wood carvings of seabirds to the owner of a gift shop there. She asked her aunt to pray that her venture would be successful. Her aunt assured her that she would pray for the largest order she had ever received. That evening, the young artist called her aunt back. Not only had the gift shop owner purchased all of her carvings, but the owner of a chain of gift shops had also ordered as many carvings as she could make. She was filled with wonder at how abundantly God had answered prayer. Now, she said to her aunt, "Pray that I can fill this order." Her aunt replied, "The Lord doesn't open a door unless He expects us to walk through it successfully. When we pray for rain, don't be surprised when you get a cloudburst." Are you praying for God to meet a need in your life? What answer are you expecting? Be honest. Bare minimum? Meager but satisfactory? Or are you expecting an abundant, more than enough supply? Stand on God's word. Jesus said in John 10:10, "The Lord your God will make you abound in all the work of your hand. I have come that they may have life and that they may have it more abundantly." And Paul wrote in 2 Corinthians 9:8, "God is able to make all grace abound towards you, that you, always having all sufficiency in all things, may have an abundance of every good work." So the good word for today is believe God for abundance. Thanks so much for tuning in. Whoever you are, wherever you are, may God continue to richly bless you with His mercy and with His grace. And I'll see you at the bell.
Remember this, there is no greater return on investment than to see a human life changed and given hope. As always, pray hard and trade safe. Any financial information discussed on this show is simply the opinion of our host, Dwayne Reeves, his co-hosts, and guests. To learn more about trading E-mini futures or to take a 1-week free trial in our live trading room, call 1-866-928-3310. 866-928-3310. Information discussed on this radio program should not be construed as a recommendation to buy or sell any security. Always do your own due diligence and consult with a licensed securities broker or financial planner before making any investment decision.